Escapism.
A modern podcast where Chris and Mike talk about TV, movies, superheroes, and everything in between. It's time for Superhero Slate.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name's Chris Dillard.
And my name's Mike Royer.
And this week, are the X-Men getting the boot? Will Spider-Man be dancing?
Okay.
There's a ghost in our shell.
Oh, man.
And more.
Oh, so I thought, I was telling Chris earlier, everybody out there, but this will be a politically free podcast always, so you're not going to have to worry about that here. I understand there's been some very, very big decisions made within the last week, but that's not what we're going to talk about here, so you don't have to worry about all that.
And as soon as he said that, everything that came out of his mouth was almost like politically related. It's like when you're like, don't say this, and then you say that thing you're not supposed to talk about.
Well, it was all off mic, all off being recorded. So everyone else, you don't have to worry about that. We're just here to talk about superheroes and shit, so it'll be good.
Yeah, movies and TVs and news and DMCA takedown notices. So that's a first for the show. Is this our first for the show, I think?
Yeah, I think so. Apparently we've been caught by an algorithm.
Yes. After 94 episodes, almost a complete 2 years, 20th Century Fox has decided that we are infringing on their intellectual property.
Yeah,
with an image from Mike's favorite upcoming movie.
Yeah, it was like one of those Alien Covenant like prop photos or something like that. We had it in our main image, and some sort of robot crawled the internet and found us. But don't be worried, Fox. It has been removed from the website, so you can chill, lawyers. It's all good.
Yes, we got it. We're cool, bro. We're cool. Stay cool with us. However, I think that link to the image is still in that post. So if you go back to last week,
we don't host the link. That's not on us. That's on the other end of that link.
Yeah, so you can definitely find that image somewhere in there. So
yeah.
That's I don't know. That's funny. I feel after we're making it big when they're starting to notice us, Mike.
When the studios are starting to notice. I actually was looking forward to this podcast because 2 trailers dropped this week, and they were trailers that like I wasn't really expecting. It's been kind of interesting because we're really granular with tracking these superhero trailers. We kind of try to guess when they come out. We try to judge based on the production cycle when we're going to see them, or when the studio also has other movies coming out. But we got stuff kind of like out of left field today. And one of the properties, I don't even know what it is, so we're going to talk about that later. But then we also got like a fully fledged Ghost in the Shell trailer, so I'm excited to talk about that stuff. That stuff is fun.
Yeah, it is. And especially, I mean, this is overall, I think, a light week news-wise. A lot more rumor and speculation. So those things that fall into place kind of feel kind of good. They're interesting.
I love that kind of stuff. My favorite podcasts are the ones where we can talk about like a big like just rumor that's gonna affect a franchise, which is what we're gonna start out with here. And then also like some trailers. It's awesome. We got plenty to talk about for sure. We don't have to worry about what the United States did this week.
Yeah, or how mad Fox is at us. To hell with those. So I don't know. I got nothing else. I mean, this week I bought some Pokemon cards. I got that holographic Charizard, Mike.
Oh, really?
I did. And in the same pack, I got a Mewtwo. So it was actually pretty good. So.
And they're just throwing around those holographic Charizards now. Those back in the day, those were like the cream of the crop when it came to Pokemon cards.
Yeah, it is, and they still are. They're again. This is the same artwork, same attacks, just updated to work with the modern mechanics because. Back then, they didn't know what they were getting into.
All right,
20 years ago. A lot of those member berries come out of those packs. Mike, so.
Your Pokemon cards bringing all the boys to the yard.
They do, and they all want my Charizard, but they can't have that. It's just my Charizard. All right, well, let's jump into some news here. Let's just get into it. Let's not beat around the bush. X-Men, right in the opening, we talked about this. X-Men, a lot of X-Men franchise news coming up here.
Mm-hmm.
The rumor and reports are saying Fox is ready to push the reboot button on the X-Men franchise yet again.
Ooh, man, this is big. This is really big news because we've kind of flirted with this idea in the past when we've talked about their universe, just because it's so fractured right now. They're doing their damnedest, and I appreciate how well they're trying to keep everything at least in some sort of like context of time, even though X-Men Apocalypse just kind of threw like a really weird stick in the spoke of where Wolverine happened when he got pulled out of that lake in Days of Future Past. We don't really know what's happening on there, so they've done some creative things with time travel to try to fix it, but I think they've just reached their end with what they've been able to do. I don't know. What do you think?
I think they're going to write themselves into a corner yet again. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, when First Class came up, they just kind of, it was a reboot in and of itself. A lot of things happened that, may have not made sense, and they've just kind of adapted those to go with. Like, Havoc being passing 20 years with Havoc, and he maybe grew up like 5 years in real life. Kind of weird. I think they need to reboot it. I think they just need to be like, all right, something's going to happen, I guess, just to wipe it clean. But I feel like that's too soon after Days of Future Past, which is kind of a reboot movie anyway. I did some research, and I actually found out that X-Men Apocalypse is more of a, I guess, critical and financial failure than Amazing Spider-Man 2 was.
Oh, wow.
And what happened to Spider-Man after that failure? Quote-unquote failure. It did make some money, but not enough, what they wanted.
I see you're hitting at this like Marvel connection, possibly.
Yeah, well, if they do a reboot, that's a good time to bring them in together.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, Fox is in kind of a more unique situation, I would say, than Sony was, because Sony only had Spider-Man. They could do their best to try to turn it into a franchise with movies that didn't include Peter Parker, but it would be a little bit harder. Fox has a little bit more flexibility because they still have Fantastic Four, they have the X-Men, so I theoretically could see that studio doing a reboot and not needing to get Marvel involved. But I do agree this would be a good time to kind of unify everything. Fox gets the paycheck, but Marvel gets the IP. So I don't know. We'll just have to see how it works out. I think they do need the reboot though. It's very necessary.
Right. What also would be horrible is, Fantastic Four was atrocious. They'd have to reboot that as well. If they want to have a cohesive universe like they've always talked about, they're going to have to reboot both franchises if they do this.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That's just a lot of work, a lot of money, a lot of effort for something that just does repeatedly not working. They need to find something new.
And I also wonder if these executives are starting to kind of look past the box office, maybe a little bit more in the future. We drop the terms franchise fatigue and superhero fatigue sometimes on the show. I think it's definitely got more years left in it before anybody gets really tired and they stop making money. But I wonder if they're just like, well, do we want to reboot this franchise? Like, I felt like maybe a reboot would have been a little bit more financial for them a few years ago. So maybe they're like, oh, if we're going to reboot it, let's let Marvel do the work. Or maybe we'll just give Marvel Fantastic Four and we'll try the X-Men. But they're lucky where it's been enough time since the very first X-Men movie. Unlike Spider-Man that gets rebooted like every 3 or 4 years. Like, the X-Men have been around for a long time. Like a reboot back to the very origins of the characters at the beginning of maybe like Xavier putting them together, maybe wouldn't be too bad,
Yeah, it's only been, 5 years since they did that anyway, so it's time for them to do it. So going forward, if they do reboot it, and here is a good thing and two bad things. The first good thing is Bryan Singer is not on the next major X-Men film, is the report.
I think we're okay with that.
I'm very okay with that. I didn't care for Apocalypse as much as everyone else does. He's done good stuff, but I think getting some fresh blood in there is going to be essential. However, the two bad things are Simon Kinberg is still writing the next X-Men movie.
Okay.
And this is I think he's part of he's written a lot of the X-Men stuff. He's kind of like the Kevin Feige of X-Men because he writes a lot of it. But I think trying to keep it all together is not working out very well. I think, again, some fresh blood would be great for the X-Men. I think looking at First Class is a good example of that.
Yeah, I think
because we just came out of Wolverine Origins.
Yeah, I think when you talk reboot, you got to talk rebooting more than just the story and the actors. You got to reboot the people involved. But I'm glad Bryan Singer's not involved. I think Bryan Singer was the director X-Men needed back in the day, kind of like how Sam Raimi did really good for Spider-Man. But I don't know if those directors are necessarily fitting in with this giant franchise speak that's going on now. But I don't know. I look at all this as good news. Like you said, they were kind of putting themselves into a corner, writing themselves into a corner. I think after Apocalypse, they have touched the corner, so they got nowhere to go. So, and we haven't really heard any news of another X-Men movie, and we would have for sure if the movie did well and they knew exactly what they wanted to do, because they cast all of these brand new actors that I'm sure signed on for multiple movie deals. Like some of them were really, really big names, like coming from Game of Thrones. So I don't know if any of those actors are going to show back up, or maybe they're just going to do Deadpool for a couple years, let the dust settle, then bring X-Men back.
Yeah, I mean, they very well may be. And I was just looking at, again, Simon Kinberg. He wrote The Last Stand. He did not write First Class, but he also wrote Days of Future Past and Apocalypse. So, I don't know. We'll have to see how this and he also wrote Fantastic Four. I'm sorry. He's got more misses than hits in my book. So that's why I consider this a downfall. But he also has this weird obsession with the Dark Phoenix saga. Him and Bryan Singer want to bring the Phoenix into every X-Men movie they get the chance to. And I think, again, when you reboot, you don't have to rehash.
Yeah.
So that's just my take on this. So I kind of look in the... And continuing down the line, Fox is apparently still wanting to do Gambit. Like, it's still on their to-do list.
They're the only ones, it seems like.
Yeah, so do you think that in a rebooted world we could use a Gambit? Or do you think just take him off and try something else?
Put Gambit where he belongs in the X-Men. He doesn't need his own movie. I don't know if he's strong enough to be a standalone character. It seemed like the standalone Gambit move was something that maybe fit more in line with their old strategy of just, we need these one-off X-Men movies to spread out the schedule. They don't need them.
No, I agree. And I think it's an apology movie to the fans who saw X-Men Origins. Mm-hmm. So that's where I feel that is. But they've in good news, the New Mutants movie is still on the schedule at Fox as well, which would follow a new class. We've talked about this before. It's got Wolfsbane and some robot dude and some other different X-Men characters we've not seen before.
Yeah, now New Mutants seems odd in the strategy of possibly rebooting, because New Mutants made sense when they were just like, we have all of these older mutants that people are very familiar with. People know Wolverine, Cyclops, all of these characters now. Now we got to bring in the New Mutants. But if you reboot it, I feel like the New Mutants will have to at least need to wait a movie or two of a brand new X-Men franchise before they come in. I don't know.
I guess I'm on the other side of this, whereas it's kind of like if Marvel wanted to do a Team Iron Man movie and a Team Captain America Avengers, like two different Avengers teams, where they could be like, okay, well, the X-Men school is established. We have our main PR front team, but we also have this, a little bit younger students who are coming in, and they have their own issues and different powers. So I can see it working, but they'd really have to have a lot of foresight.
Well, how about this? They drop a brand new rebooted X-Men movie on us in 2018 or something like that, and then in 2019 we get a New Mutants movie. So just kind of set that up a little bit in the normal X-Men movie. Maybe they can just trade off years of regular X-Men, New Mutants, and just give the two movies just totally different tones, and then maybe that would work. But my idea is they know Deadpool's working, and it's working really, really well. So they should just concentrate and make Deadpool movies. And since Deadpool is awesome at breaking the fourth wall and just totally just loving messing things up, how about on Deadpool's at the end of his trilogy, on Deadpool's third movie, he does something crazy messes with the fabric of time, or he pisses off some mutant that totally changes everything, and then it just resets the entire X-Men universe, and it was all because of Deadpool fucked up or something like that. I think that'd be kind of a funny, cheeky way to do it.
Yeah, well, I can see it working, which is ironic because they're already talking about Deadpool 3, Mike, and that's our next topic.
Ooh,
you brought us right into this.
Segued us.
Yes, so the third Deadpool movie is in talks already. Mm-hmm. Now, that's no surprise, as Deadpool is their biggest, I guess, moneymaker in the mutant franchise that they have right now. So they could do anything with Deadpool, I think, because he could, even if they merge with Marvel, Deadpool could show up and be like, yeah, whatever. I'm Deadpool. This is how it just works. He's
the free agent. You can fit him in anywhere just because you don't have to be too logical with how he fits in. He could show up in a DC movie. It would never happen, but we wouldn't be too shocked.
Yeah, not at all. But the Deadpool 3 that they're talking about is to combine him with the X-Force squad. So it would be more like a group of more lethal mutants. Together in this third Deadpool movie, leading up towards their team-up film, if you will.
So it makes me think there won't be an X-Force movie then? They'll just maybe call Deadpool 3 like Deadpool X-Force or something?
Yeah, or Deadpool with X-Force or some stupid title that they're going to come up with, obviously, and it'll be funny. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think if they combine Deadpool with X-Force, that's a good problem to have. Mm-hmm. I think he belongs in there. He's a good introduction to it, and if they want to spin that out into something else, they could as well later on.
Yeah, so. I think Fox we'll just get a Deadpool movie every other year, and then in the mid years where there's no superhero movie for them, just I don't know, make a new franchise. Go buy a script from somebody else that wrote something good and just adapt that.
Yeah, I think I honestly am still of the biggest fan of give it to Marvel in the next 5 years. And let them implement it into their Phase 4, Phase 5, because I think they could do great things with X-Men and mutants, combining everything together. I mean, we never thought we'd see Spider-Man in there. I think there's definitely hope for this future going forward.
Sky's the limit.
It is. It'll definitely take an act of magic to get there. And speaking of magic, Doctor Strange. Last week we talked about where does Doctor Strange take place? Mm-hmm. It takes place about a year from right now. So his wreck happened technically 2015 in the Marvel universe.
Okay.
And it ended in fall of 2016. Oh, so right. So the whole, when does it take place kind of settles that because there's a trophy that says 2015 at the beginning. So
I gotcha. So his recovery time was, we're saying roughly a year.
Yeah, from start of the movie to end of the movie, 1 year. So we don't have to worry about where all that took place.
Well, I wasn't losing sleep, so
I might have lost a little sleep trying to draw some strands. Like, it's not as complicated as The Flash, but there's definitely, or even X-Men, but there's definitely some confusion in there. Like, how does this work? So, but it's still a good standalone movie. You don't need to know that to watch it and enjoy it, like we said. Our spoiler cast is available. Go listen to it. Boom, boom. Also, the Doctor Strange movie is passing this weekend $500 million.
Oh, it's that cucumber batch action.
Yes, so it's at almost $500 million within, I guess, the first week. I guess here, 2 weeks internationally, or 10 days.
Yeah, so. Something tells me that Marvel Studios is going to be just fine.
Yeah, I don't know, man. This is looking pretty rough. Disney might be looking at chopping Marvel movies altogether. They're not making any money.
Oh, I hope not.
Nah. I guess they might change pace and instead of making Marvel movies, make Marvel video games.
Oh, I like that. I like the segue.
Because, again, Guardians of the Galaxy is getting a video game from Telltale Video Games.
Man, Telltale makes video games for everything now. All the good stuff they'll make a video game out of.
Yes, so recently they have released a Batman game. So they're I don't know, are you familiar with the Telltale gameplay style?
Yeah, it's kind of like I would say kind of choose your own adventure almost. They've done The Walking Dead. I think they did Game of Thrones, like you said, Batman. Yep. So I think maybe even Minecraft too. So
they did the Minecraft story mode. It's called Minecraft Story Mode, which is like the same thing.
Yeah, so they seem to be adapting all the hot stuff.
Yeah, so they did a Jurassic Park one. Tales from the Borderlands. The newest one is Batman. so far it's called the Untitled Marvel game, but a screen leak shows that it's Guardians of the Galaxy, which is scheduled for 2017, which makes sense because the movie Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is coming out then. I actually think I own maybe 3 of these games from like Xbox giving them out for free like every month or so. So I am definitely interested in maybe trying one of them to see how much I'm gonna like this, but I will definitely probably be getting this Guardians of the Galaxy game.
Yeah, you'll have to let me know how it is.
Yes, I mean you're not gonna try it out. You're not gonna.
I don't know if I have anything to play it on, man.
Well, so far they've released every game on Android, iOS, Windows, Mac operating system, PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, and the Xbox One.
Well, I'll just play it like a casual on my iPhone then.
Yeah, so I mean, if that tells you anything, you don't have to be a hardcore gamer to enjoy these games.
Yeah,
and I believe Superfan Jim has the Batman game. So if anyone else has played any of these other Telltale games, let us know what you think because I definitely want to hear more about them.
Yeah, bring it on.
One of the games I'm looking forward to from Marvel coming up is the Spider-Man game we talked about during E3 this year.
Oh yeah, that looks really cool.
It does. However, we don't have any news on it. We have Spider-Man Homecoming news.
Ooh.
The actress, singer Zendaya is not going to be Mary Jane, according to her.
All right.
Which
people really ran with that rumor a few weeks back to almost to the point where it seemed like fact.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I didn't assume she was. But she did have like a red wig on in like I think some of the stuff, or reddish hair. But whatever, it's fine. It's not gonna bother me. It's young Peter Parker. He's in high school, 15, 16. I don't care. We don't need this huge romantic love story.
Yeah. We just want a decent Spider-Man movie. That's all we want.
It is. However, the character in the comic books, Liz Allen, played by Laura Harrier, is the love interest for Spider-Man in the upcoming Homecoming movie. So
he's got to work his way through all these girlfriends before he finds MJ.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I believe Liz Allen becomes I believe maybe she doesn't have abilities. Maybe she was just in a couple of them. But oh well. I don't think we've seen her in any other movie so far. I can't remember. But as you can tell, she's not that popular in our minds. She's not Mary Jane or Gwen Stacy.
Yeah, that's all we're worried about.
It's true. And then Tom Holland went to say there will be Peter Parker dancing in this movie. And before you panic and flash back to Spider-Man 3, I mean, this is probably more of the title. It's a homecoming.
Yeah,
it might be a homecoming dance.
Yeah, I'm assuming school dance.
So nobody panic. It's going to be okay. But even in like a 15-year-old Spider-Man dancing through a coffee shop would still be pretty entertaining at this point. Marvel would do it better. Tom Holland has also signed on for 6 Spider-Man appearances total. And I don't know if that counts Civil War or not.
Yeah, well, I think that makes sense. That seems to be a pretty standard contract because out of those 6 appearances, you're going to get your 3 standard solo films. So you're going to get that trilogy, Iron Man got the trilogy, Thor's getting the trilogy, Captain America. And then, you just got the team-ups. He's going to be in the 2 Infinity War movies for sure.
Yes.
And if it doesn't count Civil War, he could pop up in any other character's movie. Maybe he'll show up in Black Panther. I don't know, or maybe he'll show up in Captain Marvel. So
a third Avengers movie. Who knows?
Yeah. It's not hard to fill out 6 movies over at Marvel with one actor.
No, it really isn't, and I'm sure they tweaked them to get them into more films. Mm-hmm. I mean, just because. These actors are getting good money. They're getting steady work and critical acclaim. Like, as an actor, I don't know what else you really want because Marvel's going to give you everything you can need. Mm-hmm. So, but what do I know? I'm just a news reporter here on this show. Lastly, we have a look at some Vulture concept art. It looks like it might be for a toy or an action figure here, but it shows like we saw in the concept art from this summer, the vulture wings with the propellers in the wings, the clawed feet, and what looks to be like a flight suit. What do you think about this, Mike?
Yeah, well, it kind of just shows us a little bit more of maybe what the character might be wearing. You know, the vulture is kind of a cartoonish looking character. You know, he's resembling a bird. You know, so this looks more like a standard like a flight suit, like you said. You got like a leather jacket with the fur, you know, around the hood. There's like he's wearing a helmet. We said this when we saw the other concept art where the wings kind of look like it could be the same manufacturer maybe that kind of makes Falcon's wings, or at least they exist in the same world. So I'm excited to see Michael Keaton under that helmet.
Yes, because Kevin Feige did confirm that Michael Keaton is the Vulture this weekend. So
Michael Keaton's so hot right now, so hot.
He is, and he was in the 80s. I think the 90s didn't care for him too much. Didn't he do like Mr. Mom or Multiplicity or who knows?
He brought it back around. That's all that counts.
He did. He came back. Birdman's all it took. Avengers Infinity War. Surprising news here. It's starting production coming up later this year, maybe this month, next month. January, the Russo brothers are scouting locations, and they've shared their first image from location scouting.
Yeah, we got
Facebook.
a nice little staircase here, some nice carpeting. Looks to be multiple floors. So they're gallivanting in some sort of a nice building. It looks like.
Yeah, very very retro style. I wouldn't say maybe Victorian, but definitely an older, tall building. Mm-hmm. One of two guesses. The first guess is Avengers Mansion. Mm-hmm. Because in the comic books, the Avengers always had the mansion instead. My guess is maybe something Doctor Strange related.
Oh, possibly, yeah.
Because as looking straight down this is pretty trippy. To be honest, like it looks like those stairs could go on forever, and I don't know. Honestly, this is for them to share this photo. I don't think they've shared a photo since last month, and it was just I think some Civil War stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I definitely enjoyed the look here.
Yeah, I guess they just got to figure out if they're going to do Avengers Mansion. What's the reason why they need the mansion? You know, they have that kind of not the Avengers factory, but they got that warehouse out in the country. They got the Avengers Tower, and theoretically, the mansion is supposed to be in Manhattan. So I don't know. Maybe Tony Stark thinks they need to lay low in a little bit more low key building that doesn't have a giant A on it. I don't know.
Yeah, it could definitely be. That maybe they take up residence in the Sanctum Sanctorum while Thanos is coming. So,
or maybe what if this used to belong to Peggy Carter in some way, and maybe she gave it to Steve Rogers. So even though Captain America technically isn't part of the Avengers, maybe this will turn into the Avengers mansion later on in another film. But maybe now the mansion is just where Tony and his hood rats are hanging out. You know.
Yeah,
I mean, not Tony. Chris Evans, Captain America. You know, Steve Rogers.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely say that because it doesn't look very tech heavy. Nothing could be followed there or found there. Mm-hmm. So I'm on board with whatever. Russo brothers haven't done anything wrong in my book yet. So
yeah, we can trust those.
We can trust them in Infinity War. So we'll keep you posted there. Remember we talked about that Cloak and Dagger TV show coming up? Mm-hmm. Apparently they're shooting for a winter 2018 release.
Oh, okay.
For two reasons. One, they're going to retool the script a little bit. I think that comes back from the ABC spinoff. Was it Marvel's Most Wanted not getting picked up? Mm-hmm. I think ABC wants to retool a little bit, play it a little safer on this one, since it's going to be another risk on their Freeform channel. But also we have information confirming the showrunner is Joe Pikaski. Who worked on Heroes, the TV show, as an executive story editor.
Okay.
A writer, and then he also has written some Ultimate comics that I've read.
Well, I like hearing that name attached to it. The date of winter 2018, I mean, that's nearly 2019. That makes me feel a little nervous because usually in the TV world, they're a little bit more nimble and can kind of crank stuff out faster than a movie ever could, because you just start off getting that pilot going. So I feel like we're one more bad news away from the show getting canceled, so hopefully this ends up being good and they retool things the way it needs to be retooled and everyone's happy with it. Or maybe it'll just go away.
See, I'm going to go the other way, because if we hadn't heard any news by now for the 2017 start date, like, I'd be like, okay, when's this going to happen?
Oh, so you're kind of thinking any news is good news.
Yeah, any news is good news, because I think it says winter 2018. Winter 2018 is our fall TV season. Because, I mean, it's just, it's going to shoot for that fall release rather than a spring release or a summer release. So, I don't know. I don't watch ABC Freeform. I might check out at least 3 episodes of this, give it 3 to try it out, see if I want to carry on with it or not. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, is anyone still craving a Cloak and Dagger TV show?
I think Freeform might be craving it. I think they'd like to have a Marvel property.
Yeah, and the other thing that has me not really excited about the show is Joe Pakaski on Heroes. He was a story producer on all of season 2 of Heroes, which wasn't.
I was gonna say it kind of depends what section of Heroes.
Yeah, he was a writer for all, or I think the first, I guess all the seasons from start to finish. But he was an editor for like 3 or 4 season 2 episodes. So hopefully he's learned a lot in that 10 years since then.
It's so hard to get any sort of real knowledge out of what's happened with Heroes, just because that writer strikes hit them. So you don't really know who to blame when it comes to that show being bad. And then it got rebooted, and then that didn't go well. So, but then you can't ignore how good the first season was. So it's just like, what do you decipher from that? Who knows?
Yeah, just watch the first season and stop watching Heroes. That's what you're gonna do. We all know that now. So, I don't know. I'm on the fence. I can go either way, really, with this guy. So, whatever. Speaking of Marvel shows, Ghost Rider, you're caught up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., right?
I believe so.
There hasn't been one in 2 weeks.
Okay, yeah, then I'm all caught up then.
And it doesn't pick up until, I believe, after Thanksgiving. So, we're good for a little bit. Marvel also wanted to avoid anything political. So, they're like, we're just going off air. Marvel has already discussed a Ghost Rider spinoff and Netflix appearances for Ghost Rider already. So
I guess the biggest question would be, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call this huge spoilers. I guess just make sure you keep up with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but they kind of dabbled with the origin of Robbie Reyes becoming the writer. And I guess, if you're familiar with the writer in general, there can be other Ghost Riders out there, and you kind of, get your power from them, or at least that's what they're showing in the TV show. So Robbie Reyes might not be the only Ghost Rider out there in the Marvel Universe. So they're kind of talking crossovers with other shows, or, other, networks. If you consider Netflix a network, it might not be the guy who's playing Robbie Reyes.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, the Ghost Rider is more of a mantle, and again, I think the other 2 movies had multiple Ghost Riders. But, just to, I mean, I don't think the spoiler, I'm just going to say it, Johnny Blaze is probably showed up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We don't know. But he was wearing the jacket of a biker.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if that's just supposed to be like an homage of what the character, looks like in the comic, and they just want to do like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge, or if we're for sure that's Johnny Blaze. But that would be kind of cool. I mean, they're lucky they have a character that can have a mantle that switches and stuff, so they don't really have to worry about negotiating a contract with Robbie Reyes or whoever plays him, or trying to fit him into like a Netflix schedule. Like, we'll just do our own Ghost Rider. It's fine.
Yeah, so they can go and do their Ghost Rider. Marvel Studios, or I guess Marvel Entertainment, I guess maybe even Studios, had a little bit of a hand in, I guess, the upper, like, not production, but the upper parts of the last Ghost Rider movie, because Marvel Studios technically did exist when it came out. It's not part of their continuity, but I think they have to be considered a producer or an executive producer because they existed with the character.
Yeah, I just really want a team up on Netflix where we get to see the likes of the Punisher, Ghost Rider, Blade, maybe even Moon Knight. I would love to see those 4 show up in like a Netflix show. Maybe we're never gonna get a Defenders 2 or something. Maybe they'll just never get around to culminating to a second season of Defenders. But maybe we can get a different group like that coming together. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, I believe it was in the comic books. There's a series called the Midnight Suns, who are like they're like, I think it's Blade and Ghost Rider and Werewolf by Night, and the Morbius vampire from Spider-Man. Like they're all like supernatural creatures, and they had the I think Midnight Suns is what it was called.
Yeah, I mean, and it sounds like it's a perfect time. We're kind of getting more supernatural and magic with Doctor Strange in the universe. So yeah, I love that idea. I don't know. Oh, it'd be really cool to maybe like drop it like in October, when, kind of the spooky time of the year. They could just make it like really dark theme, maybe even scary. Like maybe like jump scare. Like I don't think I've ever had like a jump scare in a superhero movie. That might be kind of fun. So it'd be cool to get like a creepy tone out of a superhero stuff. And that's the only way they're going to be able to avoid any sort of fatigue when it comes to these franchises. Just give us something really unique.
Yeah, exactly. And again, I haven't seen it yet, but with Stranger Things coming out and being kind of creepy and spooky at points in it, from what I've heard, they could easily, do this on Netflix, like, get a show based on horror.
Yeah.
And roll with it. I actually, one of the last podcasts I did with my friend Patrick on Film Side Chats, we discussed the history of horror films. Mm-hmm. And it seems that classic horror icons are making a comeback in the next couple years, with the Universal Monster reboots, movie reboots, stuff like that. So I definitely could see, Netflix being like, you know what, let's try one season of this, and if it doesn't work, we don't have to, but they tend to put out good stuff. They put a lot of heart into it.
Yeah, well, Netflix doesn't have to worry. My Netflix subscription is not going anywhere, so.
Did you know you can buy Netflix money cards in store, Mike?
Huh, all right.
Like you can buy a $20 Netflix card. Not like a monthly card, but like a $20 Netflix card that you could, I guess, credit your account, but that's going to be weird. Like, well, I pay like, I don't know. I'd rather have monthly cards than the money cards.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Netflix isn't really that expensive. I mean, usually once people have Netflix, they've already integrated it into their life, so they don't even really notice when the money comes out of the account, because you just need Netflix. It's just kind of like paying the internet,
Yeah, exactly. And the one thing I guess I'm disappointed in, I might give it a month, but there are 3 Netflix plans in case you didn't know this.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, so there's a very cheap, I think $8.99 plan, which lets you stream only SD movies.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And I think you can only watch it one screen at a time in standard definition, $8 a month. For $2 a month, you can get 2 screens in HD at $10, $10 a month, and for $12 a month, 4 screens in 4K if available.
To be honest, I don't even know what I have. I just put Netflix on and I start watching it.
Most plans, I believe, are the $10 a month ones. Like that's 90% of the plans. Mm-hmm. But with a new 4K Xbox and 4K TV, I'm actually maybe trying to consider seeing if I need to go to the 4K for Netflix to try it out.
That 4K lifestyle, it's gonna be a bitch on the wallet.
Yeah, I mean, $12 compared to $10 a month, Mike. However,
I'm talking about the TV you gotta buy to play the 4K stuff.
Oh, well, that's what Black Friday is for, my friend. which is coming up right around the corner. So we will talk about that later in the show, I guess. Our November plans. So Ghost Rider. I mean, I'd watch it.
Cool.
I'd watch it. Yeah. So he may not show up in time for the Defenders, but we do have some Defenders news.
Okay.
Elektra will be returning.
Not surprised.
Yep. So she hadn't really been heard or seen of since the end of Daredevil 2, where she, spoiler alert, I guess, died, quote unquote, died, and is being resurrected probably for this.
Yeah. Well, I think the strongest theory out there is that the big baddie for this Defenders is gonna be that, I don't want to say necessarily the Hand, but it'll be that kind of mystic part of villainy when it comes to the Marvel universe. So it makes sense that Elektra would be involved, and I think just we're gonna be getting cameos from these other shows popping up in the Defenders. So I'm not gonna be surprised seeing these other people crop up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's gonna be like we said, the Avengers to beat all Avengers. Mm-hmm. I guess on the TV platform. So I'm excited to see what goes on with there. Before we go to the next part, I guess I have confirmation. One of our news updates here. Jeremy Renner says he will be back for both Avengers Infinity War films.
All right, I guess he's not retiring to the farm.
Yep. So he will be back, and he says it will take up most of next year. filming, because they're filming both Avengers movies back to back. So
yeah, well that makes sense. So all right, we're getting Hawkeye back. Hopefully he's I mean, I love you, Joss, but I wasn't the biggest fan of the farm integration into the mythos of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I don't know, maybe we can get away from that.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm a bigger fan of it, I think, because that's more of his comic part. He did have a family. Like, he was one of them with a family, so yeah, that's a conversation for another time. One of Mike's favorite things today was the Ghost in the Shell trailer that we got on a Sunday.
I liked it for a couple reasons, because it was a surprise. I was getting really annoyed of these little micro trailers that we were getting. I understand that the marketing department's trying to do something fancy. They're probably just like, those dang millennials out there, they have no attention span. We got to put out 10-second trailers or no one's going to watch. Oh, I thought that was dumb. But
I'm actually going to go the other way and say its audience is very, Asian influenced. So I think that really has an influence on how will be marketed.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But there's definitely that influence is running through this trailer very strong. I thought the vibe of the trailer was really, really cool. I'm not gonna say I'm a gigantic Ghost in a Shell super fan, but I think I've seen enough hours of Ghost in a Shell content to kind of have a handle on what the universe is. I saw the original Ghost in the Shell movie, back in the day, when I was like a kid back in like middle school or something, discovering like anime for the first time, and Ghost in the Shell was like the first adult anime thing I saw, which was really cool for a kid, because you're just like, holy shit, this is a grown-up cartoon. This is what all cartoons should be, like, hyper violent with nudity in it. That's what a little kid like me is thinking. I'm just like, holy shit, this is amazing. And then later on, I think like Toonami or something late night had like a Ghost in a Shell series that they would play. So I watched a large chunk of that. But this trailer seemed to really hit the vibe. You got this futuristic Japanese hyper city of these giant holograms going on, these like swimming, floating koi fish. That like it's like that one holographic shark you see in Back to the Future, but like everywhere. Like, so that was kind of cool to see the atmosphere that they're building around this. And I thought things looked cool. They had those really weird kind of geisha spider robot things that were just really kind of unnerving when you see them, but you're like, oh, that's really cool. I think still it's unfortunate that the biggest thing looming over this movie is the casting of a white actor in the lead role. And I hope it's just so good that maybe we don't have to worry about that too much.
Yeah, honestly, she looks the part, so I don't see the problem with it, but I mean, everyone else seems to be, of other ethnicities. I don't know. I don't see that when I watch this, but it feels very, again, as everyone else has said, Blade Runner. Mm-hmm. Like, this is a clean Blade, like a Japanese Blade Runner.
Yeah,
is what it feels like to me.
Super cyberpunk, very futuristic. It seems to have this general mood throughout the trailer that, there's no like quippy, funny lines in it. It's a very serious action movie from what we're getting from this trailer.
Yeah, a lot of advanced visuals and effects, and the one thing that did bother me, I think, is she wears the nude thermoptic suit that lets her go invisible, it looks like, and she's fighting someone in like some shallow water, and the CG is very noticeable in that. It's very green screen heavy, and you can tell. So I think that's the only thing that bothered me. I'm like, this looks a little over stylized compared to for a movie that looks very CG, but everything else looked great.
Yeah, we'll have to see. It could be one of those movies where you kind of have to be immersed in the context of it. Like maybe after like 60 minutes into it, it all just kind of blends together really well. I hope it does well. We haven't really had a decent adaptation of an anime pretty much ever, and we kind of have this unique situation where Scarlett Johansson is like a big blockbuster action star, and I feel like she could really carry this if it was a franchise. It is unfortunate that there's the casting drama around it, and I totally get why people would be upset. It would be awesome if we had a big mega superstar that happened to be Asian that we could put in the role and really make everything fit. But I guess studios got to do what they got to do. People trying to make money off this movie. The world's not perfect. It would be kind of nice if it was, but at least the trailer looked cool. At least we can all come down to that fact that I thought the trailer looked cool.
Yeah, it did. And again, I'm gonna have to say, if anyone who has seen the manga or anime, Scarlett Johansson looks the part Like they didn't, make that character very, stereotypically Asian looking in the anime. So, I mean, I'm just looking at an image here, like a GIF from the movie, and it's like pulled right out of. It looks like it's pulled right out of this movie as well. So,
and it is kind of one of those weird things where it's like the anime was directly inspired from the artistic stylings of Walt Disney. So it's kind of weird where like anime characters don't necessarily look Asian or look Japanese. They just have a cartoonish feel to them. But when you have them surrounded by this Japanese culture and environment, you just infer that they're Japanese. So it's just a weird thing where it's like, yeah, Scarlett Johansson does look like the character, but then the character is supposed to be Japanese, but actually the character is a robot. So I don't know. It's just this. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on in this trailer. I mean, I was kind of left in awe. I want to see this trailer on the big screen. I think it would be cool to see the visuals in a theater setting. So I mean, this looks cool. I'm impressed. I'm looking forward to this super futuristic cybernetic action, just ridiculousness. So
yeah, exactly. I totally it looks amazing and awesome, and we'll definitely be checking this out next March. I think that's March 31st of next year. So we don't have to wait too long for that. Lastly, there's a new poster for it. And this poster looks very Aeon Flux ish, if you will. And I don't mean that in like it's a good, I mean, I get the poster, I get the design, but it reminds me of the Aeon Flux posters. And, which is another live action based on like an anime style show. So hopefully this, will erase that from our memory so we never think of Aeon Flux again.
Yeah. Sorry. That was Mila Jovovich in that role, right?
No, Charlize Theron.
Oh. Get them mixed up. Sorry. It's all
right. It's okay. I saw that in theaters, and I regret seeing it in theaters. Another movie I watched in theaters was actually a DC movie called Jonah Hex, and that brings us to our next thing, Legends of Tomorrow. Jonah Hex will be coming back next week, actually, in one of the episodes.
Legends of Tomorrow is still a show. I don't know if you're watching it.
I am not. Again, I cut out after the first season, but a lot of the actors lately have gone on record to say the first season was really all over the place. And they're hoping to fix that this season a little bit more by having a plan rather than kind of run and gun, as they had to do when they announced it and got that into production. But Jonah Hex is coming back next week, and, he looks like Jonah Hex. Cool. I feel like him. He's a comic book guy. He's got a movie. But they've also added 4 more episodes to Legends of Tomorrow's season, giving us 12 in total for season 2, or 17 in total for season 2.
Wow. I mean, this is just kind of like a strange show when it comes to episode count, just because you got so many names on the show, you got so many people on the bankroll, so many people on the casting sheet. So It seems strange because they're never really hitting that 23 episode mark for a full season, but like the first season was a little shorter, so I don't really know where this show is supposed to kind of like fit. Maybe it's just kind of like an organic molecule that kind of fits to what it needs to be.
My assumption is this is very expensive CGI wise and production wise because they're going through time periods and all the effects. Now, do you think that they are in a position to maybe like, all right, we're going to give them 6 more or 5 more after this and give them the whole season total? Or do you think they're going to stop at, the 17?
I don't know. I think you're right with special effects heavy. I think that is going to be the reason why the episodes are so pared down. I don't know. Like when you look at these other shows, The Flash, they're fortunate enough to where showing speed on TV is relatively easy to do, and Arrow is, mostly practical effects going on there. So I don't know. I mean, it's cool that Legends of Tomorrow exists. I'm just not watching it.
Yeah, maybe a binge when it hits Netflix when it's done. But I don't know. I don't think it's going to get the full season order. I think we're going to see 17, and we'll have to see where it goes after that. Maybe if Supergirl does well, and I've heard people enjoy it, Legends of Tomorrow won't need to come back, and they'll just put more money into Supergirl. So
maybe
we'll play it by ear. We'll let you guys know. Aquaman is not a joke anymore. He's got a movie coming out. Pre-production begins in Australia this month, in case you're wondering.
Well, good to know. Hopefully we can see some Aquaman set footage.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. I'm actually, of all the movies they're coming out with, after their big, we're getting an Aquaman movie before a Batman movie. and a Flash movie, and I just think that's funny. But I'm behind it. Sure, might as well. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them comes out this week, Mike. Are you guys going to watch it?
Well, I mean, that kind of goes into our November plans. I'm going to be out of the country. My wife and I are taking a vacation to Italy for roughly 9 days. So we are going to be out of the country as soon as this movie drops, which is unfortunate. My wife is conflicted because she loves traveling. She's going to love going to Italy, and nothing really rivals her love of Harry Potter. So we're going to have to wait patiently until we come back to the States to see it.
Would you try to watch it in Italy?
I don't know. I mean, we got a lot of places that we're going to visit, but it would be kind of cool to experience a theater-going experience over there. So I'll never say never, but no commitments.
If you do, let me know. I want to hear about this. Please notate it in detail, because that'd be interesting to talk about. But I have my tickets for Thursday. Believe it or not, my wife bought tickets for this Thursday. Actually,
ooh, she was the proactive one. I like it.
She did for 6 p.m. I don't.
She's like ready to see it right away. She's like, if there was a 10 a.m. showing, we would have gone to that.
Yeah, and so we're gonna go with that. Reviews for this movie are out already, Mike. So I don't care to read the reviews for this because it's not my forte, but you might want to tell your wife that reviews are out.
It is hard to avoid reviews. I want to go see that movie Arrival that came out. I hear it's rated well. I don't want to know what it's rated, but I'm trying to see like, what weekend does it come out, what theaters does it play at, and you literally can't Google a movie anymore because Google is trying to do its darndest and help you out the best it can, and it throws everything it has at you right away when it knows the reviews for the movie. So it's a rough life out there if you want to avoid reviews.
Yeah, it really is. So I mean, I would hope that someone eventually creates plugins for browsers where we can hide those.
Yeah, I need like a third party service to blind me and shield me from reviews.
It is true. So Arrival did come out, and it's directed by Denis Villeneuve, who is doing the next Blade Runner movie, which comes out next year. So that's good to know. But back to the Harry Potter thing, it's coming out. Reviews are coming out. Avoid them if you want to. Apparently, there are some stuff they haven't announced yet, so avoid everything you can. I don't know what it is. I didn't look into it. Don't ask me. But
you're a good man.
I just know that there are things out there, so avoid reviews if you want to stay surprised. However, for the sequel, whatever it may be called, I don't know. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them 2 doesn't really roll off the tongue. But Johnny Depp will be playing Gellert Grindelwald in the sequels. So
yep, you called it. That's where you were leaning last week. So it makes sense. That's a big character in the mythos of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter that you don't really get a whole lot of in the Harry Potter books. So it makes sense that they would cast a big name like Johnny Depp to play that role. Yeah.
So I mean, like you said, Warner Brothers wants a bit of his Pirates money. So. Trying to get over there and do that. So yeah, we'll see Johnny Depp in the Harry Potter stuff, which again, 4 more movies after this one. So buckle up, buckaroos.
In it for the long haul.
Well, going back to some earlier stuff with Jeremy Renner, Mission Impossible 6 has a release date coming out for July 27th, 2018. Mm-hmm. And with Jeremy Renner filming Avengers all next year, he doesn't know if he can make it to Mission Impossible 6. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that helps or hinders my experience on Mission Impossible movies, but now we know.
It seems like they're hitting their stride where they're just going to turn into a Bond-type franchise. What else can we throw at Ethan Hunt? I think eventually Tom... I don't know. I was going to say, maybe Tom Cruise is going to be the type of guy that doesn't want to do a Mission Impossible for the rest of his life, but then you kind of think about who Tom Cruise is, and he's like, no, I'm fine with playing Ethan Hunt when I'm 60. Just write a script around the character being 60. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, The last one was a great movie. I really enjoyed the last one. I don't know if you saw it or not.
Yeah, it was good. The Mission Impossible movies are fun. They're good. They're solid summer blockbusters. So
it was better than the Jason Bourne movie this year. So that's what I can say. That's where we're at on this, and I'll watch it. So 2 more years. I guess a year and a half. We'll get there. But on the other part of this, we have a Kong Skull Island movie coming up. and we have our first look at Kong in this movie.
Surprise, surprise, it looks like a big gorilla. Actually, you can't even tell it's big just because in the framing of the shot, it just looks like a really angry gorilla. So there's not a whole lot to go off of here. And, King Kong, the character, has been around for so many years. You can't really re-envision it a whole lot without, really going too far from the source material. So I don't know, not a lot to, I don't have a lot to say about this picture of a gorilla.
So I have a little bit of a thing to notice that this is not based on any actual real gorillas. So when the Peter Jackson one that came out in 2005 or whatever, they modeled his movements and his action, his looks off of existing creatures. And this one is more modeled off the old 1920s, 1930s one, where he doesn't look. He has those gorilla / monkey characteristics, but there's nothing I think existing that looks exactly like him.
Yeah.
And that's to give him a little more fear and I guess oddness about the way it looks.
Yeah. He's a big old mad monkey. That's all I got to say.
He's upset, and I think a trailer is going to land soon, so we'll keep that that planted. Speaking of trailers, yet again, the second trailer Mike talked about at the top of the show was Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets.
Now this was an interesting drop. Maybe you have some more information to lay down on me because you're always the wise sage that knows all. But I have no freaking clue what this is. And I think I saw a link for it earlier this week, and I just clicked into it just because people seem to be excited about it. And it just seems like this crazy whirlwind of a sci-fi movie that I just have no idea what's going on, and I kind of like that.
So, to preface this, Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets is actually based on a French comic series, sci-fi comic series called Valerian and Laureline, that started in 1967 and ended in 2010.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's been collected into a bunch of my train here coming through. It's been collected in graphic novels format, album format. It's kind of like trade paperbacks. And it's definitely it's kind of just like a kind of regular comic book, like a sci-fi comic book, good versus evil. There's politics, sociology, ethnologies that go on in the later stuff as it gets more deeper. But this movie looks to be more like The Fifth Element, as everyone has said.
Yeah, and it's directed by the guy who I think written and directed by the guy who made The Fifth Element. If I'm correct me if I'm wrong.
Luc Besson is the person who definitely he directed it. I don't know if he wrote that movie, but he definitely directed The Fifth Element, which a lot of people know. He did write it. Yep, you were correct. He did write it. But other movies he's done, Leon the Professional. I don't know if you saw that one.
Yeah, that's a lot of people love that movie. Yeah, the
it's
trailer
very weird, but very much feels just like the Fifth Element beat for beat.
Yeah, this trailer it seems to be kind of an interesting concoction of a bunch of things. When I watch the trailer, I kind of get this Jupiter Ascending vibe, mainly just because it seems like a big science fiction movie that I know nothing about, so it kind of makes me think of Jupiter Ascending a little bit, hopefully in a good way. And then we see a lot of these alien-type creatures, which kind of reminds me a little bit of Avatar, with kind of a more expanded universe going on out there. I really like the casting of these two characters. I don't know the actors' names off the top of my head, but the one guy was the lead, the bad guy in Chronicle.
Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah. And then the girl was I think she was Enchantress, right, in Suicide Squad.
Yeah, so it's Dane DeHaan and Cara Delevingne, I believe.
Yeah, even if I knew those names, I don't know if I would have been able to pronounce them as well as you did. Yes. But yeah, they're an interesting matchup. I don't know if they're supposed to be love interests in this movie, but they almost kind of look like brother and sister. They almost look related. I don't know if that's intentional. I don't really know who the characters are. but they have this weird look to them where they almost seem menacing at all times. I don't know if just because the roles that I know them from are kind of menacing roles, so they just have kind of this unique character to them. So it just doesn't seem like a casting choice that you would make for a big budget sci-fi movie. So I just kind of like the way that the things kind of clash with each other. So this definitely looks like something that's trying to be turned into like 4 or 5 movies. It just doesn't look like a one and done type thing. So I think we'll be seeing more of them if it's successful. It looks like it's getting a July release, so the studio definitely has faith behind it, unlike Jupiter Descending that got moved to like February or January. I don't remember what month that came out. So I don't know, this is really fun and totally out of left field. I wasn't expecting it, and it looks unique.
Yeah, it definitely, I think it looks unique in how it is. Again, very reminiscent of The Fifth Element. You have Rihanna playing the kind of Chris Tucker character. It looks like she's a shape-shifting stripper, if you will. And I don't know, I'm interested to watch it. I will definitely check this out. I definitely think we should add this to our spoiler cast for next year, if our hype remains through July.
It just looks like too much fun.
It does. It looks like a big sci-fi romp that is fun, not one of those you dread watching because you're like, I guess I gotta watch it. So
yeah,
I agree with you. I think check out the trailer. Let us know what you guys think, and if you actually, I've never read any of the Valerian and Loreline books, but if you have, let us know. I don't know how many of our comic readers are out there, but I've never even seen them in stores. So we'll definitely probably see a lot more of them over the next couple months.
Yeah.
And lastly, the last bit of news here, we're going to end on a weird note. The Transformers 5 trailer has been classified,
so
we might be talking about the week Mike is out of town. This is the segue here.
I think I'll be okay with that.
Yes, so Mike will be leaving us next week. This coming Sunday.
Just for a week, we'll bring in a replacement host. You guys will get a little bit of a change of pace from me, but hopefully it all works out well. And I'm leaving it totally up to Chris's discretion. So if you don't like the replacement, you blame him.
Or you just wait a week and come back.
Yeah,
exactly. Either one's fine. Thankfully, we don't have anything to spoiler cast this weekend. But we might do a Fantastic Beasts spoiler cast. I'll let you think on that, Mike.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to.
Yeah, and like I said, maybe even bring in the wives on this one to see what they thought.
They have the expert opinion that we want to know.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we'll be doing that, and then we'll be back to regular schedule after Thanksgiving, and shooting for that episode 100. That's our goal. Once we hit triple digits, we've really done something. So
once we hit triple digits, we'll buy those Ferraris that we've been talking about. We've been holding off, but we're like, we'll wait till episode 100.
The Hot Wheels Matchbox Ferraris.
You don't have to tell them that.
Sorry, I didn't say that. We're gonna strike that from the record.
The Hot Wheels edition. You know how sometimes brands will sponsor big expensive cars, and that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. But other than that, that's our news for the week, Mike. You've been doing some drawings, some cartoons this week. You still posting those online?
You know it, man.
All right. Well, where can people find those at? Because I couldn't even find them last week. I was having some issues.
Well, you can always follow me at Mike Royer Design on Twitter and Instagram, and you can read my webcomics at pickledcomics.com. Chris, people always want to know what you're up to. You got so many things going on. You're working on a portfolio website right now because you're doing so much freaking video work. You don't even have a place to host it all. So if people maybe want to check out a link to that, where can they follow you?
You can find me on Twitter at Valdan, Valdan. You can also listen to my other show, Filmside Chats, with my friend Patrick. Like I said, we did the history of horror films by the decade last week, and we are not horror film people, so it might be funny for some people to listen to it. Maybe offensive for others. I don't know. And if I post anything, you can find it on there, or even Comic UI. So definitely keeping busy, even as we start losing daylight here. It's almost dark here, Mike. It's only 4:30, so. Definitely not looking forward to that one.
All right, well, I'll get this last bit out before you lose the sun and the werewolves and vampires come out. So you can always find us at superheroslate.com. That is the best place to find all the avenues that we host the show. We are on iTunes, YouTube, Google Play Music, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Tumblr. You can subscribe and get us right in your email inbox, and you can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. If you're a fan of the show, please consider leaving us a review wherever you listen to the show. It's super helpful. I really appreciate that. And if you're a super fan of the show, like we have some awesome super fans out there, just share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy, and we will be here every week, or at the very least, half of us will be here every week when the other half isn't on vacation. And all right, I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm pretty excited to go on vacation.
Well, Mike, I will miss you. Watch your data rates in Italy, please. Don't go over.
I'm legitimately stressed about how I'm solving that problem right now.
Well, Wi-Fi is a great solution they have across the country or across the world.
Yeah.
so we'll get there. But other than that, Mike, we all wish you the best. Have a good time, and we will catch you when you get back. Both of you. Right. I guess I'll catch everybody when we get back. So I'll see you all in 2 weeks.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.
That's kind of political, right?
Yeah, but we don't want it to be political.